Greetings and welcome to Conversations with the CEO. I'm your host, Leigh Toney, Executive Director of Miami-Dade College's Carrie Meek Entrepreneurial Education Center. I'm here today with Brandon Okpalobi.
Yes.
He's the CEO of Dibia Athletics,
Yes.
a 5-year-old company
Yes.
that specializes in basketball training, professional development for youth and adults.
Correct.
So, okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, Brandon, I've known Brandon for about 5 years now.
Yes.
He started his company at about the same time we met.
Right.
So I wanted to bring him in because you're at your 5-year mark. That's a milestone
Yes,
for
it's
many
big for
companies.
us.
That's
Yeah.
a big first. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring you in and have you talk about Dibia, and I know you've branched off and have a nonprofit arm now.
Yes.
So I want to talk about a company at your stage of the maturation cycle.
Okay.
What led you into this arena as an entrepreneur, and kind of a variety of things. What do you think about entrepreneurship in South Florida? So we got 30 minutes to talk, so we can start with a variety of things. Most important thing, you're a graduate of a local university?
Yes, University of Miami. Graduated 2005, walked on the basketball team, earned a scholarship my senior year, and had a chance to play in an NCAA tournament and Madison Square Garden and places like that. So.
Okay, good. But you're not originally from South Florida?
No, I'm from New Orleans.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so you decided to stay. You went to school here, decided to stay in the area.
Yeah, when I graduated in 2005, that was a year of Hurricane Katrina. So I did not have plans to go back, but once that happened, that made it a final plan.
Good. What was that like for you, being here, something of that magnitude happening?
Yeah, it was interesting because everyone was saying it was coming here. So when it came here, it wasn't that bad. I think it was like a Category 2 or something like that. And then we didn't have power here. But once I got power, everyone was like, it's coming to New Orleans, and it's a Category 4 or something like that. So, worried about my family mostly. And, everyone made it out except a couple people. But it was very interesting at that time to try to figure out, I just graduated, I didn't have a job at the time. Was I going to go back home? But now I can't go back home, so now I have to start a life somehow in Miami.
Good, good.
Yeah.
And you were employed at the time?
No, I was one of those kids when I graduated. I was like, I'm not going to take a job for less than $50,000. The ACC selected me to be the first assistantship with the Orange Bowl Committee for the business development assistantship, and it was $1,000 a month. So I was like, I'll look.
Not quite 50,000.
Yeah, it wasn't 50,000. So I said, you know what? I'm going to keep looking and interviewing. August came. I didn't have a job. I needed to find an apartment, and I needed money. So I took the job with the Orange Bowl. It was the best decision I've made. All the contacts, everything that we do for Dibia or Dream, our board members, opportunities I've had, all have come from the Orange Bowl.
So let's underscore that again, because a lot of students watch our show.
Okay.
And so you had dreams of the $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Those didn't quite pan out. You had an offer with a well-known, established organization,
Right.
50-plus year history in this community,
Right.
only paying you $1,000 an hour,
Right.
and best decision you ever made. So
Yeah.
the lesson there is
sometimes you have to just take a chance. You never know what that opportunity may lead to. It was $1,000. My rent was $800. I was trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. But working there, the experience I was able to receive in a short amount of time, meaning in a year, I went from playing basketball to actually putting on basketball games, understanding there's contracts in place behind this, there's marketing, there's sponsorship, there's so much more than just two teams coming and playing in a gym. Then I was moved up to the executive assistant with Mr. Keith Tribble. So I would go everywhere for the bowl week events. So I got to meet CEOs and the commissioner of the ACC and all kinds of people. And that's how I actually got my first job with Deloitte & Touche. The CEO saw me, the partner with Deloitte kept seeing me around with Mr. Tribble. And he was like, so what are your plans after this? And I said, oh, this is what I want to do. He was like, well, I don't have that, but this is what I can offer you. And then that's how I started my second job. So, and that job actually paid me $50,000, which was funny. The offer letter was $50,000. So it was just a year removed.
Good, excellent. Yeah. So would you have been able, do you think, had you gotten a job, some job that paid the number that you wanted,
right.
would it have been more worthwhile, you think, than all the contacts you made in that year you spent with the Orange Bowl?
No, because actually 3 years with Deloitte and Touche, I kind of realized that computer information systems or IT side of the audit is not what I want to do. In sports, helping kids and things like that, that's actually my passion. So that's what I was doing with the Orange Bowl in a smaller capacity, which led me to what I thought I wanted. And then it allowed me to see, like, this is not what you want.
That's not quite what you want
Right.
to do. Good, good. So how did the idea for Dibia come out?
It's a family, the Marks family. Julian Marks is a kid I would work with at the University of Miami basketball camps my senior year. We developed a great relationship, and his parents were like, why don't you train him after this? I was like, train him in what? They're like, basketball. We'll pay you this rate, we'll refer you clients, and you can build a business. I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. So that was in 2008. But then I started with the Orange Bowl, and I was extremely busy, so I could only do it maybe on the weekends. And when I started with Deloitte, I had no time. So I probably would only do Julian or one other kid. And then when I started with the University of Miami, I had a little bit more time, a little more flexibility. So referrals just kept coming in and just kept building. And then one day there was a quote I heard, never waste the opportunity of youth. And so I said, okay, let's just make it happen. So I was struggling with a name. I had horrible names like Brandon Okpalobi Sports, Basketball for All,
Boss.
LLC.
The acronym there would have been
Well,
Boss.
Boss, right. I thought that was cool, but I was like, this is not going to
quite.
work. So my actual middle name is Azuka Dibia. Together means your back is stronger than the witch doctor's magic. But when you separate the two words, Azuka means one word, and Dibia means master of wisdom or knowledge.
So let's hold our audience in suspense till we come back from our first break, and we'll tell them what Dibia means.
Okay.
And then we can probe a little deeper to how you grew Dibia.
Okay.
And the business side of it, and then we'll talk a little later about the charitable stuff. So come right back. We'll be right back. I'm your host, Leigh Toney. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. I hope you'll stay with us.
Be creative. Be a hero. Be the solution. Be connected. Be innovative. Be global. Be successful. Be you. Be MDC. Be Miami-Dade College.
Hello and welcome back to Conversations With. I'm your host, Leigh Toney, and I'm here today with Brandon Okpalobi, CEO of Dibia Athletic.
Yeah.
And right before we went to break, you were telling us about the name Dibia, which I admitted to you before we started. I wasn't always sure I was pronouncing correctly, but turns out I was. But you were explaining how you arrived at that name.
So my middle name is Azuka Dibia, and when you split the two, Dibia means master of wisdom or knowledge. So our tagline is train like a Dibia. So that once I found that out, I was like, okay, perfect. So we'll call it Dibia Athletic Development, because that doesn't really hold us in one sport or one arena.
Sure.
So we can step into any type of development. So when we started in 2011, we were just doing more individual training, and then I just kind of was looking around the arena, and I was like, okay, we need to step into camps and clinics. We need to do some nonprofit stuff under our arm. We need to impact more kids. We need to add life skills. So the first part of adding camps and clinics, I said, everyone does stuff in their area, like their city or their state. I was like, what's going to separate us is going to be a global company. My college roommate, who's one of my best friends, Steve Simons, he's in Bermuda. So that's how we do things in Bermuda.
Very nice.
And then I'm from New Orleans, so I said, we can't do things in Miami without doing things for New Orleans. And then we did our first camp with James Jones, who played at that time for the Miami Heat.
Right.
But he plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers now. So we knew we had to have a big name in front of us, because one could pronounce Dibia and two knew who we were. They just thought the logo was cool. So we had him for our first 2 camps. And then when we stepped into football, we did one with Desmond Howard, Super Bowl MVP, ESPN analyst. So we felt that that would be a way to inform people what we're doing with football.
And so you said you're crediting relationships with access to
of
all
course.
these named athletes, Desmond
course.
Howard, James Jones.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Miami's sometimes a kind of like a show me city, you know. So we were like, okay, we're going to show people who we are through these camps. And then we were doing camps, and I'm a big kind of disciplinarian. I like people and the kids to do things a certain way. So I said, we will not just do basketball. We need to add life skills. And I said, okay. I said, but we're doing a lot of nonprofit stuff, but we're for-profit, which kind of helps us and sometimes it doesn't. So I said, okay, if we put these 4 things in place, or 5 at the time, and the kids like it, we're going to start a nonprofit as well. So the first day we did health and wellness, and I was like, okay, there's no way possible anyone's going to listen to me about what to eat. So we brought in Dwayne Wade's chef. You know, the kids are listening to everything he says, and we're like, okay, we'll see what happens. Tomorrow, parents came back, oh, we have to buy soy milk, we have to, you know, go back to the grocery store, but thank you, you know, things like that. So, okay, that was great. Then we did education. We brought in the University of Miami to come talk about educational requirements and things like that. The third day, we brought in someone to talk about mentorship and leadership. And then the last day, we brought in Marlon Hill. He was doing a lot of stuff with the World Cup and just showing them different opportunities in sports through law. So the kids loved it, families loved it, parents loved it, so we started DREAM. And DREAM is an actual acronym. People think Dibia is an acronym, but it's not.
I asked you that too.
DREAM stands for Development Through Recreational Education for Athletic Minds. So we believe if you have a body, you're an athlete. So if you're great at math, you're a mathlete, and so on.
Oh, wonderful.
So our initial model was, let's start, we looked at Breakthrough Miami's model, and they do every other Saturday, and which we said was great. And I was like, okay, let's do Saturdays. But then you start hearing these statistics about graduation rates, and you know, they build penitentiaries on kids not passing the 3rd grade.
So you wanted to up the frequency.
Yeah, I was like, you know, every other Saturday is great, but you know, the kid, all of the things that happen during the week, like, how can we change that? So we said, okay, let's do the Dream Academy after-school programming. We put our pillars, which are education, financial literacy, health and wellness, mentorship, and sports training.
So let me ask you this while we're talking about your nonprofit. This is a lot of scale happening in a very compressed period of time.
Yes.
How are you managing the scale? Because that's where a lot of people get stuck, right? I do this piece really well.
Right.
But now when I'm talking about for-profit, now a nonprofit,
Right.
now on Saturdays only, now every day after school, how are you managing scaling up operations to accommodate all of that?
You should have mentors, and you should use them. I have great mentors. Sarah Harold has helped me tremendously with a lot of the things I've done. Albert Dotson Jr., Keith Tribble, Alex Frazier. These people are extremely savvy in business. So as far as our for-profit side, we definitely talked about how to expand and stuff like that, and it's a little easier on that side. The nonprofit side, I remember I have this sheet on my wall. Al Dotson drew, you know, for-profit, nonprofit, arrows and definitions and everything. So that's my map. But I'm not an educator. I can motivate, I'm a coach. So I knew that we needed a director of operations who can provide curriculum, provide educational standards, and actually run it. I was blessed to meet Itida Alexander. She's our director of operations. Dream would not run without her. So she has helped us tremendously with the curriculum and operational side. And from there, if we're going to do after-school programming, we need staff. So we have 2 sites, Care Elementary and then Anita Hartner Elementary. We have a site director at Care and then a site director at Anita Hartner. Then we have 5 teachers, 5 teacher aides, 2 gym staff. And then we also have 2 bus drivers. So how the Dream Academy works is that they come in, most of the kids are at the school, so they just come into the academy. We give them a snack. We cover one of our pillars. So if it's education, it's all STEM projects. Then we make sure their homework is done before they go home, and then we do a small fitness component. And then we put them on buses at drop-off locations. We make about 2 trips, and then that's our day for Dream Academy.
So you've been able to successfully merge and manage both the for-profit and the nonprofit, and then we're going to come back from this next break.
Okay.
And we're going to drill down on your for-profit venture, and we're going to talk about the climate for entrepreneurship here and a trend we see emerging around entrepreneurs like yourself. So. Thank you for staying with us so far. Stay with us. You won't want to miss the last segment of the show. I'm Leigh Toney. I hope you'll stay with us.
Be creative. Be a hero. Be the solution. Be connected. Be innovative. Be global. Be successful. Be you. Be MDC. Be Miami-Dade College.
Welcome back to Conversations With. I'm your host, Leigh Toney, and my guest today is Okpalobi, CEO of Dibia Athletic. And as we said at the beginning of the show, I met you when I was working with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and you were the first, am I right, second president of the Young Professionals Network that we started there. And so I want to begin the conversation there, and we'll drill down into your company. But I see an emergence of a real strong core of entrepreneurs, particularly entrepreneurs of color in Miami, unlike any time I've seen previously. What do you think about that trend, and how do you think that the ecosystem is supporting young entrepreneurs like yourself?
Well, I believe Miami is a special place, meaning there are not that many big corporations here. So obviously, people love Atlanta. There's tons of corporations, opportunity. Here, you may work for a company and then it doesn't work out, and then you're, the cost of living here is very high. So you're like, okay, my rent is high, I have to pay this rent. What can I do? Oh, I'm great at this. Okay, let me start a company. And then you start to get clients, and then you start to get traction, and then things start to move. And I think that is something that happens very fast here. If you have a good product, if you market it the right way, if you're in certain chambers or involved with like-minded individuals, you can move very fast as far in the entrepreneur space. And I think I met someone last night with Venture Cafe. Yesterday at the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, I sat next to the people from WeWork. I think there's maybe a couple more working spaces. Mm-hmm. So that also, or incubators. So that also breeds ideas. Sure. And we have tons of space now that is being dedicated to those types of environments. So now ideas are just growing. So whatever idea you may have, you're like, okay, let me connect with this person, this person, this person, let's come together and make it happen. So I love Miami because it breeds entrepreneurship. It's gonna force you to either, move fast in whatever company you're with, or start your own company and then start to move fast and expand. And it's a global city, so you can have access to, different countries and things like that.
So if you were one of my students who's watching the show right now and they had an idea and they're still matriculated,
right,
what would you advise them to do?
I would advise them to first operating expenses. Figure out what your operating expenses are and then save that money. Or
your personal operating, your
personal
rent,
operating. Well, no, overall for the business, and include that. Okay. Because the main thing is with entrepreneurs is that you'll start and the money's, it's not coming yet those first 6 months, and you're like, okay, I want to go back to work for someone else. Then you get depressed again. Then you have to backtrack 6 months. I tell people all the time, like, I jumped out the window. I started with $1 and a dream, and then just kept going. And luckily, through the grace of God, I was able to make it. But I used to tell people to save up for a year. Now I say 1 to 2 years. If you don't have to worry about actual operating expenses, those big ideas you can just do. Like, oh, let's do this big marketing campaign. Well, I can't do it because I only have this amount of money.
Like most students.
Right.
Right.
So if you're a student, I say, you know, definitely look at the operating expenses. Use the free tools that are out there. I know the University of Miami has the Launchpad.
And Miami-Dade College has the Idea Center.
Okay, so you have the Idea Center. There's tons of, like right now is Black Tech Week. You know, some of those events are free. You can meet tons of entrepreneurs who are willing to help younger entrepreneurs. Get an internship with a great startup or the Orange Bowl Committee.
Yes.
You know, find organizations that can help you learn to be an expert at what you do. And then while you're still tweaking your idea, and then step off. You don't want to just start the idea, just get as much information, be as business savvy as you can, and then step into it. I tell people not to do what I did. So
do you find among the young entrepreneurs in this community, because I might name this the Young Gun series. I'm interviewing someone else next, who's also one of these emerging young professional entrepreneurs. Is there collaboration? Is there support among some of the ones that you may know? Of course. Anything that we outsource, our IT, we use Invisio, Kevin Michael. Who's my guest on my next show. Okay. With our website, we use Medium 4 with Dante and Michael Hall. Our marketing, or our flyers or printed material, use Georgia Etienne with 84 Studios. Our lawyer is Joyce Brown. These are all people who are young professionals in the community. So I wanted to make sure that if we did anything outsourced, we would use young entrepreneurs in the community, preferably a minority, as long as they did great work. Yeah. And people love all of our stuff. Our logo that we have for our for-profit and nonprofit was made by Jason Panton. It's not a day go by that people don't love the logo. Like they just really love the logo. So and that's great, because it's hard to nail it the first time around. Yeah, and with the Dream logo, I know I was annoying to many people because the first time I got it, I was just like, I don't love it. It just grew on me, and maybe it could because when we put it on the shirt, I was like, oh, it's great, and then the kids loved it. So I realized that Dream is not for me. Dream is for the kids. The kids love it. The kids like this. Let's run with it. That's huge. And giving back is important to Dibia. That's clear. You were just recently recognized by the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce for your community outreach. Congratulations. Yes, thank you. Thank you. That was very unexpected, but it was great. It was great to be around so many entrepreneurs, and it's at the Entrepreneur Awards. So it was just great to be around that energy. Good, good. Yeah. Well, I foresee good things for Dibia. Any headlines, breaking news that you can share with our audience about things to look out for? Just events. Our nonprofit is doing a Black History celebration called a Shea Celebration at Carrie Elementary, February 24th from 4 to 5:30 p.m. We will have our spring break clinic in Bermuda, which is March 28th through the 31st. So if anyone wants to come out for that. Everyone always wants to come to Bermuda. Yeah, we want to go to Bermuda. I want to go to Bermuda. It's a beautiful place. And then we start our summer programming. And then we have a big fundraiser with Bluefish Sport in Coral Gables on April 17th. So why don't you tell our audience your website so they can keep up with you? The website for the for-profit is dibiaathletic.com. No S. People always like to put athletics. And the nonprofit is dibiadream.org. Good. Brandon, I enjoyed having you as our guest today. Thank you. I will invite you back for the 10-year anniversary, if not sooner, maybe sooner. Good. Because I suspect you have what it takes, and Dibia has what it takes, so you'll be around for many, many years to come, and even more global than you are right now, especially since you managed to put your for-profit business model and your nonprofit on parallel tracks. God bless you, for being able to manage all of that. So thank you again. Enjoyed having you. Take care. All right. And thank you for tuning in. We hope you'll stay with us, and we'll have many exciting shows for you this season. Thank you for being with me again, and enjoy your day.